No, so I just don't think Atlanta is that team that they were last year.
All right, let's move on to some basketball.
I love
Knicks
him more because he's more difficult.
and Celtics.
No problem.
If you're from New York, there's no better place to take in a game on a big night than the Garden. Last night, big game, big night, Garden.
Jenny, you have to stay awake.
Dude, I was not invited. Kristaps Porzingis back after missing 2 games with a sore knee, but only sort of back, right? So he went 0 for 11, finished with 1 point. Celtics star Kyrie scored 32. So guess who won? Exactly. The Knicks. 102-93 on the back of Michael Beasley's 32 points off the bench. Boston started the season 21-4, but they're 4-5 in their last 9. So, Nick, I ask you now, is it time to start worrying about Boston?
Well, it's time for people to...
People besides
Where's Chris
Nick?
Mannix? Where's Chris Mannix today? It's time for people to be honest about what the Celtics team was always going to be this year once Gordon Hayward went down, which is a slightly improved version of who they were last year. The key components are still there with a better new Jason Tatum, I should say, a better Jaylen Brown, swapped out IT4 for Kyrie. The Brad Stevens is still there. They're a team that needs Kyrie to do almost everything offensively when Al Horford's struggling. Last night, Al Horford struggled. Jason Tatum only took 9 shots, which is curious to me. It's odd to me that he's averaging for the season 9 shots a game. I think he is a special offensive player even as a rookie. But they are going to have to win games defensively. And last night their defense was okay, but it wasn't a total lockdown defensive effort. And if Kyrie scores 32 and you still struggle to score 90, you realize that offense can grind to a halt. And you just look at the players. They were only missing Jaylen Brown of their key contributors, and you just don't see a ton of offensive talent there. So this is a team that's going to be, at best, the second best team in the East, at worst, the third or fourth best team in the East. But that's who they were always going to be, that 16-game winning streak notwithstanding.
Forget what the numbers say defensively. Forget what the record says. Forget what percentage they're shooting. We sat about 5 rows behind the bench. They're just not that talented. They're not that big. Without Jaylen Brown and without Tatum playing together, they're really not that athletic. You know, Kyrie can dribble, and he has a certain amount of quickness, but he's not as athletic. When you're talking about NBA athleticism, they don't have it. The center, the man,
Aaron Baines.
Aaron Baines with the man bun. First of all, get rid of the man bun.
Come on.
Okay.
Leo had a man bun.
Yeah, well, he ain't Leo, though.
Who?
Leo, DiCaprio.
Your neighbor?
DiCaprio can pull it off.
Okay.
Aaron Baines can't pull it off, man.
No.
I'm letting you know right now.
No. And if he could shoot, I'd let him wear that.
Yeah.
or work on your shoot. So they just don't have the bodies.
Right.
And you wouldn't see this until you saw it. Without Jaylen Brown, I mean, at this young age, they're a different team without him. Without his explosion, without his shooting, it's basically the Kyrie show. And the Kyrie show, absent of LeBron, it was a lot like last night. When Kyrie does not have another superstar or two, he doesn't have a great record. Nick is pointing this out.
And he's still a special offensive player.
Yes.
But I mean, Cece makes a really good point. It was a lot of what we saw with Kyrie 4 years ago, which was he scored 30-plus on 27 shots. He took 15 threes last night. But I'm not, by the way, I'm not blaming Kyrie. They had no other choice. If they're not going to get Tatum more involved in the offense, then and Horford's having a bad night, who's going to score for them? It has to be Kyrie. I'm not knocking Kyrie for that at all, but that's just where they're at right now.
Can I just stick up for my Celtics for one second?
Please.
Celtics played the second night of a back-to-back.
Yes.
They played a league-high 35 games. It was like their 5th game in 7 nights or something. They dressed like 11 players. Everyone else was banged up or hurt. So give them they'll have played, I think, more games in January than almost any other team in the league at this point. That first half has been really, really stacked for them. They're tired, and they're worn out. I mean, I'm sure the two of you being at the game together last night probably saw that. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah.
So, I know that you're saying that you probably saw their talent.
I was getting ready to say something else.
Right ahead.
Here's the thing, Jenna. That's all true. But
That's all true.
Losing to the Knicks when Kristaps doesn't make a basket,
yes,
is problematic.
And he was just coming back from it, so he wasn't nearly 100%. And their best scorer besides Kristaps, Hardaway, he didn't play.
I want to say one thing about that, because you mentioned an interesting point about being tired. Brad Stevens, you guys know I am a disciple of the Church of Brad Stevens. You guys know how much respect I have for him. I think he's clearly one of the 2 best coaches in basketball. He's doing something very interesting with Kyrie's minutes. Kyrie is 50th in the NBA in minutes. 50th. He's not coming off an injury. He's 25 years old. He subs him out midway through 4th quarters so he can have that burst at the end of the 4th quarter. That's playing with fire. Kyrie playing 32 minutes a game. Kyrie is playing less minutes than any of the stars on the Warriors. Now think about that. The Warriors have more offensive firepower than anyone. They're blowing people out all the time.
And they're playing more minutes.
And it's not much more, but Kyrie's playing less minutes than them.
Yeah.
He's playing less minutes than he played last year. I get it. It's what's allowed him to be so special in the waning minutes of games, but we've now had their last 3 games, he's been incredibly special in the waning minutes. They lost 2 of them and could have lost all 3. Like, that's an adjustment I would look to. If Kyrie Irving, your 25-year-old superstar, should be playing more, I mean, he's playing fewer minutes right now than Lonzo Ball. And we've talked about if Lonzo's minutes need to get up. That's something to watch.
Okay. All right, coming up, did the Steelers give the rest of the NFL a blueprint to beating the Patriots?